You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
And I'm Lisa Wysocki. I'm in Ashland City, Tennessee, and you're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, January 15th, episode 3605, brought to you by our title sponsor, Poseidon Health.
Hello, Horse World. It's Wednesday, the day you start daydreaming of a weekend with your horses. We'll help you get there with more silly horse talk on Horses in the Morning.
We've got a super fun show for you guys today. Lisa, thanks for joining me.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to remember. I think we've done a show together once.
I think we have too, but it's been a little
when
bit.
I just started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Glenn's like, you've never done it without me. I'm like, calm down, Glenny baby. Me
It'll
and
be
Lisa
fine.
got this. Of
We
course
do.
we
It'll
do.
be fine.
That's right. And we'll just fake it if we don't. Nobody's
Exactly.
going to know.
And nobody cares.
That's right. I do have a really exciting new series that we're kicking off today that we're calling Breeds of the Alphabet. So a whole 24 hours after Radiothon, Glenton reached out to me and was like, Ashley, I have a challenge for you. Every month, I want you to find 2 breeds while we go through the alphabet from A to Z. So today, in honor of the letter A, we are going to have the president of the Akhal-Teke, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. She's going to educate us soon. She's the president of their American Association, and she's going to come on and educate us all about Akhal-Teke, Akhal-Teke. I don't know. We're going to find out.
I love this. This is such a unique breed. I can't wait.
Same. They're so beautiful. That's all I know is how pretty they are. And
yeah.
What a reputation to have. I hope that's what people think about me. I don't know anything about her, but she's real pretty. And then we're going to review a vet segment on cribbing. And Lisa and I are going to answer some of the auditor questions that they dropped in the room for us yesterday. So, Lisa, I know that all of this crazy, abominable snowman weather has lovely landed in Tennessee. Tell me how you're doing out there.
Yeah. So Friday we got 7 inches of snow, which, as a lot of the auditors know, I grew up in Minnesota. And 7 inches is, not a significant event. It's it happens, but it doesn't happen here in Tennessee all that often. So nobody knows what to do. Nobody, the store shelves are bare and everything shuts down. And so I was kind of snowed in from Friday until Monday. But, you just deal with it. You just, you have your protocols for shutting off the water and turning on the heat and, keeping the horses fed and all of that. So, you just do that and enjoy the prettiness.
There you go. We love a silver lining. I got to tell you, Lisa, I have a cousin in Nashville and she called me. She's like, I'm getting ready for the big snowstorm. I went to Publix. She said, but everything was gone. The only things left were frozen food. So I got a bunch of frozen food. I said, well, Celeste, that's all well and good unless you lose power.
True. And what always amazes me, Ashley, is, we're going to be stuck maybe at home for 2 or 3 days, 4 days at the max. I mean, you don't have enough food in your house for 3 or 4 days.
You might not have enough milk or bread. I haven't drank cow milk in maybe 20 years, but if there's a snowstorm coming, we're getting a gallon. Gosh darn it.
Just in case. You might need it after 20 years. Who knows?
I mean, maybe a White Russian with the snow. I don't know.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Let's hop over to our daily Whinnies.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
And for our auditor birthdays, I would love to wish a happy birthday to Amanda Haas, Mackenzie Loper, Elizabeth Toby, Carmel Dunlap, Alex Sherman, Libby Cluett, Zoe Kopolis, Kristen McFarland. Happy birthday,
lots of
everyone.
birthdays.
I know. Who knew? It's so popular.
Yeah.
Golly. And then I do have my own daily Winnie. I know most of you listeners know I hate Winnies and I never can figure them out, but I do have one today. It's a new year, new me. And I'm really excited, you guys. Sleep Stories for Equestrians is back with season 2 tonight.
Yay.
With episode 1 dropping at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I wanted to do something a little different. For those who listened to last season, we did a beautiful adaptation of Marguerite Henry's sequel to Misty, and it was all about Misty's foal. And so I wanted to kind of pivot. You guys know I love the Horses in History segment, so I kind of pulled a page off of that book, and this season we're reading Horses and Their Ancestors by William A. Burns. It was published in 1954, so there are some things that are, a little outdated about it, but it's a wonderful read. It was actually published by the American Museum of Natural History, so I'm kind of giving it like a sleepy Horses in History vibe.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This has been a passion project of mine. And last year I had to step away and do real work. Boo. So I'm thankful that Glenn gave me the reins and we're back to sleeping. So I hope you guys enjoy it and fall right asleep.
That's fabulous.
Lisa, tell us about your Winnie.
So my daily Whinnie goes to Kim Light. And so, Ashley, yesterday we had a horse who was just acting weird. And you know how you just get that gut feeling that something's not quite right.
Oh,
something's not quite right.
Oh, yeah. You got to listen to it.
Yeah. And I don't know. We did have the vet out and a lot of tests were run and nothing's conclusive. So I don't want to say anything. We don't really know. The vet doesn't know. We don't know, but he was not right. And, so I had yesterday a bunch of meetings in town that I had to go to. And I mean, worst case scenario, I would have stayed with the horse, but I called, a friend of mine, Kim Light, who lives an hour away, and she's just a fabulous horse person. And I said, I explained the situation. She said, I'm on my way. And she lives an hour away, and she stayed with this horse for 6 hours while I was gone. And I mean, she's dropped everything, and I just so appreciate that so much. We all need somebody like that in our pocket, that we can call and who is our backup.
Oh, 100%. I actually have goosebumps. There's just no friends like horse friends at the end of the day.
I know. And, I was thinking, Ashley, I thought, I'm going to start with Kim because she's my number one choice. But then I thought, I've got 6 other people on my list that I could call. And I was just so grateful for all of that because,
really?
Yeah, and it could have gone either way with the horse. I mean, we just didn't know. And right now he seems to be fine. But it's like having those people who can just help you out and just are going to drop everything at any time of day or night. It just means so much.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful thing between farm folks, horse folks. We just, we take care of each other. And
yes.
In this day and age, it's almost bittersweet because I wish more people were like that. But yes. I'm glad you have Kim and your other 6. What a blessing.
Yes, absolutely. Attention, horse lovers. Do you want your horse to perform at its best? Poseidon Animal Health has the veterinarian recommended supplements to keep your equine friend feeling their best. Is your horse stressed by travel or competition? Our stress paste can help them stay calm and focused. Worried about your horse's digestion? Digestive HP and our Gut Health Reset Pack can promote a healthy gut and keep your horse feeling their best. Poseidon Animal Health products are trusted worldwide by Olympic athletes. Give your horse the same champion treatment. Visit PoseidonAnimalHealth.com today.
It's time for Breeds of the Alphabet. From Arabians to zebras, we take you on an adventure, highlighting a breed for every letter of the alphabet. Can we do it? Stay tuned in 2025 and find out.
And joining us now is Katrina Ardeel, who is the president of the Akhal-Teke, TBD, we're about to find out, be excited, Association of America. And she's joining us from Ontario. Katrina, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
This is so exciting for me because this is the horse that has like the sheen to its coat, and it looks like it's like been dipped in chrome. And I think all of us have seen pictures of it, but maybe not a lot of us have seen the horse in person. So, Katrina, first of all, how do we pronounce the name of the breed?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on who you ask and what part of the world you're from, but I'd say most commonly in North America, we pronounce it Akhal-Teke.
Akhal-Teke, okay. And so if somebody hasn't seen this coloring that is on these really cool horses, how would you describe that?
Sure, yeah, it's a little bit maybe blown out of proportion in that not every horse carries that sheen.
Okay.
It comes from a hollow hair follicle, and it's a genetic phenotype that can be passed down or not. It's most commonly seen in those really bright colors, the palominos and the cremellos, and definitely thing to see. It's kind of like those, I don't know, those cars that you see that change color when you look at them from a different angle.
Yes, I have one of those. It's I can never find it in the parking lot.
Wow. So that chrome color comes from some of the hairs being hollow. Is that correct? From the gene?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So if it's very strong, then the most of the coat will have a very thin hollow hair follicle, and the light reflects back out and creates that sheen.
You know, the other thing that I find really interesting about this breed is if I'm looking at the profile of the horse, they almost look to me like a greyhound. They're very streamlined.
They are, yeah, and again, there's different lines in the breed. So some are heavier set than others. Very commonly over in the Central Asian countries, they use them for racing. So you tend to see that type commonly over there. So very greyhound-like, very deep chest, very sleek for sure.
Amazing. So, because the horses are sleek and all of that, you mentioned racing. So is this like short racing, or is it endurance racing, or what kind?
Yeah, the breed itself is about 3,000 years old. So originally they come from nomadic people that would run all over with them. So very much long distance. They sort of, when humans stopped being so nomadic, turned into racing background. Now, more modernly, they are used in every sport. We have probably one of the most famous is in the Olympics in the 60s for dressage. Certainly, we have several competing in dressage across North America, as well as endurance and jumping and eventing. So they're a pretty versatile breed. They're not really just stuck to racing or to endurance or anything like that.
So, given that, they're racing bloodlines, they're from Turkmenistan, from my research, are they then hot-blooded? Do they lean to be, on the higher end of that scale, or are they, chill? I know it's hard to make generalizations over the entire breed, but what would you say their temperament is typically?
Yeah, they're considered to be a hot-blooded breed, but their temperament is very even-keeled. They're very intelligent. They're very sensible creatures. We always say they don't really have a spook. So commonly their spook is to sort of stop, have a look at what's going on, and then they like to go and investigate and go to it as opposed to run away from it.
Well, that's my favorite kind of spook to have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's not very many out there, so I mean, our experience is always limited compared to other breeds, but that certainly seems to be the way across the breed that we've found.
Do you have numbers as to how many are in North America?
Yeah, we've estimated to be about 800 in North America. There's only about 3,000 in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so not very many. So not too many people. If you do get the opportunity to see one in person, definitely take it, because it doesn't come along very often.
Right. And so I'm still kind of hung up on the coat color. and,
Yep.
and so I know that everybody breeds for specific things, and I'm assuming that they're breeding for this hollow hair follicle.
It's we try. Personally, we do not. We breed for Akhal-Tekes to be used in sport. So if they happen to have the sheen, that's great, and if not, that's fine with us too. But certainly, there are a lot of people in the world that will prize that coat color and prize that sheen.
Are there other breeds that are commonly crossbred with the Akhal-Tekes, since their numbers are so low, to just kind of diversify that gene pool by chance?
As far as purebred breeding, there's not, crossbreds aren't allowed within the registry.
Okay.
But yes, definitely we do see crossbreds pop up quite commonly, and they do cross very well. The breed itself being so old, a lot of the modern breeds descend from it. So thoroughbreds, some of the Spanish breeds, a lot of the warm bloods genetically will go back to this breed.
Oh, that's fascinating. They're not real tall horses either, are there? Maybe, 15 hands on average, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, in North America, our bloodstock tends to be a little bit shorter as a whole, but they do tend to be between 14 up to 16, 17 hands at the very highest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm looking on the website, the Akhal-Teke Association of America, and I came across a really interesting, and it looks to be even more rare because it only happens to the Akhal-Teke foals. Tell us a little bit about this naked foal syndrome.
Yeah, it's a recessive trait, that a mutation, I guess, that comes through. It's not terribly common, and it's only very recently that we've been able to genetically test for it. So within the last 6 or 7 years. And so recessively, if you have two carriers that were bred together, there would be a 25% chance that the foal could be born with this. And it's, I always sort of equate it to the fragile foal syndrome in warm bloods. It affects their skin and the lining of their intestines, and foals do not survive it.
Wow.
I think
that's awful.
It's the oldest one I think that has survived has been a year old. So It's something that we're working hard to ensure in our breeding, that those carriers don't get crossed. As long as we don't have two carriers, then it can't be passed, or it can't materialize itself being a recessive trait.
So do the breeding stock then have to be tested for that before they're bred?
Currently, it is considered a best practice situation.
Okay.
So breeders are expected to have their stallions tested and their mares tested before breeding. It's not required by the registry at this point.
Katrina, can you tell us how you got involved with the breed?
Yeah, sure. When I certainly I've heard of it as a child, never got the opportunity to see one. And when I met my now husband, he had just purchased 2 mares that were both young at the time, and that was my first time I'd ever got to see an Akhal-Teke. Those 2 are now our foundation broodmares. And then when we got married, we bought our first stallion as a wedding present to ourselves. So that started us into breeding.
I think that should be the new traditional wedding gift, frankly.
Oh, absolutely.
I fully agree. Yep.
I'm going to have a talk with my husband when he comes home tonight. And there's going to be some words, Katrina. There's going to be some words in my house. So thank you.
No problem.
And so do you guys only focus on breeding, or do you guys compete as well with your Akhal-Tekes?
Yeah, we do breed as a focus. And like I say, we breed for sport. So that stallion that we purchased as a coming 5-year-old, we compete him in dressage. So he does upper level dressage now. He's coming 19 this year. And then his offspring that we've produced have gone into jumping. My husband has just gotten into endurance land with his Akhal-Teke gelding. So, yeah, we certainly do compete on our own horses, and then that's our focus of our breeding in our sales as well.
So, with only 800 in North America, do you have breed shows, or are you just breeding, or are you just showing in other disciplines?
Yeah, currently our only option would be to show in other disciplines. So we often try and tag in on some of the sport horse events with our young stock, and then obviously anything dressage related or jumping, we go into those venues.
Wow, this is just fascinating. I'm so excited that this was the breed that I was on the show co-hosting with.
Katrina, before we wrap, if we had someone who was interested in learning more about the breed, or even, if someone wanted to purchase one of the 800, where would people go to find that kind of information?
Yeah, definitely check out our website. So it's Akhal-Teke.org. There are a list of breeders on there, and you can contact any one of them. Any one of them are going to be happy to chat about the breed, introduce them more. The website also carries a list of our events that are up and coming. So you will see Tekes pop up across the country at expos doing breed demos. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And definitely check us out on the social media. Connect with us that way. As I said, anyone is very happy to talk about the breed with them.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and educate us on this truly beautiful breed who I can't tell you the amount of times my non-horsey friends and family tag me in pictures of Akhal-Tekes like on Facebook. It's only second to the 52 thoroughbreds that are find homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we will link everything in our show notes so you guys can go ahead and learn more about this beautiful breed. And thanks again, Katrina, for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
That was good.
Good. I want one.
I can't believe they have hollow hair.
I know. That's very cool. I'm just, yeah.
It made me think of polar bears.
Yes,
because they're not really white. Their hair is just see-through, and it's almost the same kind of thing with the Akhal-Tekes.
Yeah. I've got to see if there's one near here.
I know.
I'm thinking like a day trip.
We're tentatively planning to go to Equine Affair in Ohio in April, and I'm just hoping because I know they do they're starting a new show, I think, like a breed showcase competition. And
cool.
Here's hoping I'll see an Akhal-Teke.
Yes.
And maybe some auditors.
Maybe.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about State Line Tack. You know the magazine, you know the website. We love it. And what perfect time right now. They are having a blanket blowout sale with savings of up to 70%. And if you use your HRN code, you get an extra discount when applicable. So don't ever forget to use your code HRN. I'm looking at all kinds of turnout blankets and sheets. Lisa, this first one on the page is $42. Mm-hmm.
You can't beat that. I mean, that's amazing.
Are you joking? I almost am going to get one for my guest room. And come on. So I know the weather is clearly not made up its mind in Tennessee, and it hasn't over here in Albuquerque either. So there's still time to get your horse some blankets or really whatever else you need at statelinetack.com. This Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages.
So we have Dr. Fernanda Camargo. Did I get that even close to right, Doctor?
Kind of close. Yes, Fernanda Camargo.
Fernanda Camargo.
Camargo.
That's like a name that should be in a song. It's beautiful.
Well, Fernando was in a song, right? The male counterpart of my name.
Oh,
The
yeah,
ABBA
yeah,
song?
Yeah. You're right. You're
It
right.
sounds way prettier when she says it.
Yeah, it
but-
does. Everything sounds way prettier when she says it. So now we have you on in our horse health segment because we had some listeners that requested to learn more about cribbing. And,
Okay.
it is one of the things that everybody talks about, right? I mean, we all, right now we have 4 horses on the farm. One is a bad cribber. And everybody that owns a number of horses over the years ends up with a cribber. So that's, one of the things we wanted to talk about with you today. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, though, and what you do.
Okay, so I am originally from Brazil, as you can expect with my accent. I was born and raised there. I went to vet school in Brazil, and then when I graduated, I came to the United States here at the Gluck Equine Research Center to do my PhD in equine pharmacology and toxicology. And then I graduated from my PhD, and I now work at the University of Kentucky in the Animal and Food Sciences Department.
Very cool. Very cool. And so now you wrote a paper on cribbing and some other things, and that's, I think, what caught the attention of our producer. What are we talking about here with these behaviors that, these kind of addictive behaviors?
So are you just wanting to know about cribbing or the others also?
Let's talk about that first, because that's what the listeners really wanted to know about.
So cribbing is when a horse grabs with his front teeth, his incisors, onto a solid surface and then make this characteristic sound as they seem to be sucking air, but they're actually not sucking the air, but they make this grunt noise as they, crib onto that solid surface. So that's what cribbing actually is. It's different from wood chewing, although for some inexperienced people, they may think that wood chewing is the same as cribbing. Wood chewing is actually reported as a normal behavior in feral horses. So wood chewing is actually normal. So if you have horses that are eating the tree barks, that is actually a normal behavior of horses. Now, cribbing is a stereotypic behavior. It is not normal for horses to crib, although it's very common.
Now, yesterday in the elections, I noticed that a lot of states approved marijuana. And one of the things you've heard about cribbing, now you're going to see where I'm going with this. One of the things that you've heard about cribbing is that it gives them a high. Is that true? And is that sort of like when you're smoking pot? Is that kind of high?
So research shows that horses that crib, as they crib, they release more endorphins. So yes, so it is almost like, I don't know if marijuana, but almost like a cigarette smoking, like the horses calm down as they crib. But also research shows that horses that have a tendency to crib have higher levels of cortisol than horses that don't crib. So they are already more of a frustrated kind of a horse and more stressed kind of a horse. And as they crib, they lower the cortisol levels of their body and also release endorphins. So so it is kind of, an addiction for these horses.
And is it a learned behavior? Why do they start? Why do some start and others not?
So some people, so anecdotally speaking, some people say that they never had a horse that cribbed, and they brought this other horse that cribbed into their farm, and now other 2 or 3 other horses started to crib again. So anecdotally speaking, yes, some people say that it's a learned behavior. However, we haven't been able to prove it by research. So what we have proposed is that some horses are more predisposed, genetically speaking, and when they see or when they're put in the correct environment, which we can go through that, and then they see another horse in the same environment cribbing, they can then start cribbing. But that's not, from a research perspective, is not considered learning behavior. It's considered that now they are actually eliciting that behavior. They're showing something that they were born with, that desire to crib.
I've also heard in that, doctor, that potentially horses crib. One horse cribs because it's in a situation, and the other horses crib because they're in the same situation. and it's a life situation that they are in, as opposed to they're teaching each other. They're just all kind of going crazy together, so they all kind of learn it from each other too, is kind of what I've heard it. And that led me to my next question is I have a friend that's considering buying a brood mare that's a cribber. Do mares teach foals to be cribbers?
So we think that cribbing may be a genetic predisposition. So if that's the case, if the mare indeed has a genetic predisposition, she may pass it to the foal, and the foal can actually become a cribber. But one of the things that is actually very, very interesting is that foals from mothers that are overbearing, don't let the foals express themselves, don't let the foals play, they're super overbearing, stressed mares, they actually lead, those foals have a higher predisposition to start cribbing than mares that are more laid back. So if that brood mare is a cribber because she's stressed, she's frustrated, and that's why she cribs, so she may pass on that nervousness onto her foals. So that can become a problem. Now, when horses start to crib, so horses can start to crib when they get weaned. So there is research that shows that the acidity of the introduction of sweet feed to these foals, as the time that they get weaned, they start to show this stereotypic behavior. So they start to crib. So maybe because of gastric ulcers, they start to crib to relieve of that pain. The overbearing mothers also so they start to crib to release their frustration. So it depends. I own a farm and I have 20 animals in my farm, and I have had several cribbers throughout the life, and I've never seen an adult horse learn from another adult horse how to crib. And I have a cribber right now, and he hasn't taught anyone in my barn to crib. So I kind of tend to disagree that an adult horse will teach another adult horse to crib. But if this mare is a nervous mare, is a cribber, overbearing, she may teach her foal to crib. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So what it comes down to, what I'm hearing is just like people some are predisposed to addictive behaviors and some are not, it's kind of that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now everybody wants to know, and this was the ultimate question, and you know what I'm going to ask next is, what do we do?
What do we do? So first of all, we need to, I am of the opinion that cribbing is destructive, okay? A lot of people think that if you try, and if you read papers, you can see different opinions, but a lot of people think if you try to stop cribbing, the horse is still anxious, the horse is still frustrated, but now he cannot show his frustration. He cannot crib, and he cannot relieve himself of that frustration. So some people think, let the horse crib, okay? However, if we just let the horse crib, number one, it's extremely destructive. It will destroy property, fence line, their teeth, and when they destroy their teeth, they're not able to chew very properly, apprehend food very properly, and that can lead to other problems as, stomach and GI upset as well. I am of the opinion that, number one, if there is an underlying cause of why the horse is cribbing, say, for example, he still has the gastric ulcers that he acquired when he was weaned, I think the horse needs to be, scanned to see if he has gastric ulcers and treated for the gastric ulcers, number one. Number two, horses need to eat a lot of forage. Research has shown that horses that eat less than 15 pounds of forage per day have a higher tendency to crib, and I think is because of the acidity of the stomach again that makes them uncomfortable and they start to crib. So treat the gastric ulcers. Give a lot of forage for these horses in the form of pasture, high-quality hay. There is other research that shows that different types of forage, different types of hay, so alfalfa, grass, beet pulp, so just to offer that to the horses. Obviously, the more the time that the horses spend outside, browsing and and grazing and having fun with their friend horses, they have less stress in their life. So anything that you can do to diminish the stress in the life of the horse, that will help his behavior. Now, a broodmare generally doesn't have a lot of stress in her life, and she's still maybe wanting to crib. So, so it's just you need to figure out what is actually happening to this horse that he is wanting to crib. Is it at feeding time? There is what we call feeding frenzy, when horses get so angry during the time of feeding that they start cribbing, they start kicking. So you need to calm down and make these horses more calm and less stressful.
Hold
so
up.
this is what I would recommend.
I got to stop you there. How do you do that? Because I have 3 horses that are boarded up my barn that have all been rehabilitated from starvation situations, and they are all 3 massively food aggressive, anxious, and they kick and they go crazy when it's feeding time. How do you stop that? You brought up that point. I'm going to ask.
So how do you stop the horse they're so aggressive? You have to feed them separately and away from any other horse. So if you feed them in a stall and you have another horse in the stall beside him, that becomes a problem because he can smell that horse. So you need to separate as far as possible one from the other so they don't even see competition. They don't even smell competition, so they can be quiet. So you can maybe feed one at 4, one at 4:30, one at 5. However, if you do that, the one that is at 4:30, the one that is at 5, they're going to be so angry because they didn't get picked first.
They're going to be doing a lot more than cribbing by the time they get in.
By the time they get in, they kill themselves already. So if you can separate them, as far away from each other as possible, that would be ideal. Yeah. So if it's a stall situation, you can put the feed bucket in one corner and the other feed bucket on the other corner of the stall, like one to the right and the other stall to the left, so they don't eat as well as smelling the presence of the other horse.
Okay.
And then skip a couple of stalls and put the third one.
The one we have here, we have 4 horses here, and the one that cribs is one that is high-strung and kind of just stressed out about life. And he's out all the time. He's beautiful pasture. They feed him endlessly. And so they're doing everything right. He's just a stressed-out horse, and cribbing's the way he kind of deals with it. Now, let's talk about collars. Some people think cribbing collars are just cruel and, inhumane. So what's your story on collars?
So I think that cribbing, again, is a vice. And the same thing that I think that smoking cigarette, and I am sorry for those that don't believe it, is a vice and it's deleterious to your health.
Who doesn't believe
I think that cribbing is... Well, I mean, people that smoke, I guess. It's deleterious to the horse's health, and they do have a higher chance of epiploic entrapment colic that can only be corrected via surgery. So and plus it destroys their teeth, it destroys property. So about cribbing collars, it will detain a horse that is less stressful. So it will prevent a horse that doesn't crib that much from cribbing. Horses that are set and they are going to crib no matter what, so the cribbing collar is not going to have an effect on them. So that being said, you have to tighten that cribbing collar so much to be able to prevent that it starts to break the skin of the horse. And that I don't really like. I don't want the cribbing collar to actually break the skin of the horse. So for that particular case, we need to go back to, does the horse have ulcers? Are you sure? Don't feed him sweet feed, There is research that shows that high-fat feed is actually better than feed that had molasses. So that's what I think about the cribbing collars. There's different types. The one that has worked the best for my personal horse was the Dare collar. That one is the one that worked the best, and I put the merino sheepskin on it so it doesn't actually break the skin. So that, in my opinion, is the one that works the best. But Miracle Collar works for some horses too. The one that is the metal in the bottom, I have seen horses, they just turn it sideways, upside down, and that one is difficult to actually keep in place. Yeah,
I've seen the same thing with the horses here that we've had over the years. And I think it probably... I do think it's a destructive behavior, but I think mentally for the owners, it's even more destructive. I mean, we just fret about it. And I know I do, even with the horse that here, not even my horse, but yet it's just kind of annoying. And you're going, I wish he'd stop that. So you're constantly fretting about it too. It's just one of those situations.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing with cribbing, some horses are so addicted that they crib, they spend so much time cribbing that they stop eating. So those horses at a body condition score of 2 or 3, because they want to spend so much time just cribbing that they don't eat. So for those animals, it needs to be stopped because they need to start eating more. So there is other devices that are used, to prevent cribbing, and that's what some horses need to resort to so they don't die of starvation just because all they want to do is crib all day long. It's like those alcoholic people, all they want to do is drink, and then they look like skeletons.
So and in that case, you have what we call the functioning alcoholics, right? That can get through the day, and then there's the ones who can't. So it's about the same.
Correct.
All our references today are coming back to ways to get high or stoned or drunk. That seems to be the thing. I could listen to you
The
talk.
horses that I've owned,
Yeah.
my cribbers have always been functioning cribbers. They never were. So
We got a new term today.
They're high functioning cribbers.
The high functioning cribbers, and then there's the ones that are just laying in the gutter.
Low functioning.
That's right.
Just
Well,
sucking society dry.
Dr. Camargo, thank you so much for joining us. We really, I could listen to you talk all day.
I'm here with the mad scientist who developed Daily Dose equine horse feeds, Janet Geyer. And I wanted to have a quick chat with you because Daily Dose equine horse feeds are non-GMO whole food nutrition based. And a lot of people go, oh, that comes from a small dedicated feed mill. I won't be able to get that when I travel. They're wrong, aren't they?
They are. You can get it through Chewy anywhere in the United States. Or if you live locally in Maryland and Northern Virginia, you can get it delivered.
There you go. Chewy.com. It will deliver it anywhere you want. You can also schedule delivery in advance so you can have it delivered every X number of days. And you can go in there to your account and change it every time you move horse show venues. So check it out today, dailydoseequine.com online or chewy.com.
For first-time horse owners and new riders, finding the information and support you need can be challenging. That's why Equine Network has partnered with Sentinel and Absorbine to bring you My New Horse. From important horsekeeping information and how-to videos to social media communities, exclusive experiences, and more, My New Horse is your one-stop shop for riders of all levels and disciplines looking for easy-to-understand horse care information and guidance. Start your horse ownership journey today. Visit mynewhorse.com. I'm so excited. Instead of giving you guys weird news, because I wouldn't know where to start with that anyway, Lisa was game to do whatever. Well, she said nearly anything.
I said nearly
She
anything.
said nearly anything. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a Ask Us Anything question. We dropped the prompt in the auditor room yesterday. And our first question is a training question coming to us from Auditor Alexandra. And she is a mom with an off-the-track thoroughbred mare who's a sweetheart, but when she goes out to catch her, she bolts. And I know this is something I've worked with a rescue quarter horse, and it's frustrating. It's so hard to not get frustrated. And so she's currently out there with a carrot that the horse will take a bite of and then run away.
Oh, fun.
So now her horse is getting a snack and running. Lisa, what should we do here?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a couple of options here. So one is if you have a round pen, that's where you're going to teach the mare that you are the leader, and by controlling the speed and the direction of the horse, you can be the lead mare, and she can learn to respect you as the leader, and that is going to help long term with the catching. Now, I know not everybody has a round pen, so if you don't have a round pen, you can use a lunge line in an enclosed area that's smaller than the pasture. If you have a fenced-in riding area or a paddock, you could sort of do the same thing on a lunge line. And it's just important that that whatever you do, that you're teaching this mare that you are the leader. Now, if you can't lunge, if the weather's bad, you can do it. And this is assuming once you have already caught her, you know. And this is going to be a process. It's not going to be like, okay, you know, I've done a round pen session and kaboom, you know, life is good now.
If only horses were that easy.
Exactly. So the other thing, you know, you can do is once you have her, is just do some simple leading exercises, or you know, ask her to drop her head, and that's a sign of submission. And you know, you can just do a downward pull on the halter, or reach up and put your hand on her pole, put a little pressure until she drops her head. We had a mare, Ashley. It took us 8 months.
Oh, I believe it. I really do.
And she was a draft cross. She'd been mistreated by the people who had her, and you know, it just took her time to build that trust. And so, you know, I'm thinking maybe there's something in this mare's past that, you know, she thought, oh, humans are not great, so you know, I don't want to be part of that. You know,
I'll take the carrot and go. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing you can do is just disengage the hip. You know, just go back to the hip, put a little pressure on the horse's flank or the hip until the horse moves away. Do it on the other side. Stop, ask the horse to back up. You know, those types of things over time are going to help. Now, that's assuming you've caught the horse in the first place. Right. That can be the challenge. You know, if there's a smaller area that you can kind of herd the horse into, that would be really helpful. You know, just encourage the horse to go into a paddock, or maybe they can fence off a smaller area, you know, that they could herd the horse into, and you know, encourage her to go in there, throw down some hay or a bucket of grain, or, you know, or a handful of grain or something. But Ashley, those would be my go-tos. I know that there are people who will leave a halter on a hard to catch horse. I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm always afraid that halter's going to get caught on something.
Even with a leather breakaway, like
exactly.
I've seen things. We all have, right? Horses are
Yes.
the most creative little assassins for themselves, and I agree with you there, Lisa. That's a tough call to make.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it sounds like round pen work, groundwork, you can never have enough of it. And
no,
it's too cold to ride. So maybe this is all of our little reminders from Auntie Lisa to get out there and do some groundwork with our ponies, because it makes a difference, you know, on the ground, in the saddle, everywhere. And they like it too. They, you know, they really enjoy it as well.
Oh, yeah. And the only other thing I would add is with all horses, but it sounds like with a mare like this in particular, just be really certain you're giving clear and consistent signals. So, you know, if she does something right, I mean, she is absolutely the best horse in the entire world. Nobody has ever done that thing better than she has, ever, you know. And if she's not getting it, just, you know, calmly correct her. Don't punish, just correct. And, you know, until she understands.
Beautiful. Very well said. Alexandra, you will have to let us know, not tomorrow, not the next day, maybe in a couple months, if you and your mare are doing any better. And we do wish you good luck. I know it's frustrating.
Patience.
As I said. Yes, patience.
Yes.
Patience and positivity.
Yes.
So we're going to pivot a little bit. That was our big horse training question. The rest of our questions came through were absolutely all over the place. And we love that about our auditor group. I think the first one I'm going to lead with, Lisa, is from our auditor, Allison. Why is the sky so much bluer when I'm flying through the air after being launched from my bucking horse?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. You know, that's so true, right?
It's so true.
It is so true. And, you know, it's like everything, you know, life just kind of slows down, you know, and it's like you're parachuting down, but you don't have the parachute.
Yeah, you're just thinking of every poor choice that led you to this moment. And, look at the blue sky.
Yes. Yes.
Allison, I'm going to go with it's an adrenal response. And because you're about to die, you're your
Yes.
brain's just enhancing some colors so you have a nice last memory.
Exactly. Ditto what she said.
Okay, next from our auditor, Denise. This is a good one. Did you ever experience a wardrobe malfunction while riding, and what was it?
Oh, wow. So this is the one that comes to mind. It wasn't really a wardrobe malfunction. So for a long time, I was the equine trainer at Saddle Up, which is a very large therapeutic riding center in Franklin, Tennessee. Yeah. And so we had a draft cross. She was a thoroughbred Percheron cross named Saffron. She was 17-1 and just huge. And I was riding her in the outdoor arena, and it was on an off day. So we weren't in session. There was one person in the office because we always had to have somebody else on property. Anyway, I went to get off, and, at most therapeutic riding centers, you ride with safety stirrups. So there's, you've got the little rubber bandy thingy on the outside of the stirrup. Well, I dismounted, and the belt loop of my breeches caught on the little hook on the safety stirrup. And here I am hanging off this mare about 6 inches off the ground.
Oh my gosh.
and I could not get off. I mean, I couldn't get off. And she was a former fox hunter. And I just remember she kind of turned around to look at me like, what the heck are you doing? And I kept thinking, I'm dead. I'm a dead person.
That's it. This is it. The sky is real blue right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the breeches, they were really well made, and I couldn't, I'm thinking, okay, I don't carry a pocket knife, but I really need to because I could use one right now.
Oh my gosh.
So finally, it took me 15 minutes. I'm hanging from this horse for 15 minutes.
And nobody walked by or anything.
Nobody walked by or anything. And this was it was a number of years ago when cell phone service wasn't great in rural areas. I had my phone with me, but I couldn't call anybody. So finally I got the belt loop torn and I dropped to the ground. So that's my wardrobe malfunction.
Man, mine's really similar in that I was also dismounting and got hung up. However, this was, I want to say like the first or second, it must have been the second ride on a Mustang mare that I was training for an extreme Mustang makeover. And the first ride was it was awful. Her saddle was loose. And that's a whole nother story. Well, it's a wardrobe malfunction. She bucked me off so hard, my boots flew off my feet and ended up in a paddock 20 feet away.
Oh my goodness. Did you get hurt?
Both of my boots. Just a concussion,
Well,
LOL.
You know what this teaches us, Ashley? This teaches us to never get off our horses.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, we just need to stay on our horses. Get on, just stay there.
It's kind of comfortable, especially if you're bareback, to just lay backwards. You could sleep there.
Absolutely.
You could sleep there. The second ride with my Mustang mare, my safety vest got caught on the horn. So I was similarly just kind of wiggling, and it was a Mustang, second, third ride. It was early, so I didn't want to make any sudden movements,
No.
I got off of there real quickly. I was working with this old cowboy, and he came running into the arena and just picked me up like I was nothing, like a baby.
Oh, wow.
So that's a twofer. No boots. And
Oh, goodness.
It was
so everybody, don't get off your horse. Just stay there.
That's the lesson of the day. Don't just stay on your horse. Yep. From Auditor Diana, she asks, do you have any siblings that share your horse passion? I know you've mentioned your mom and the racetrack she attends before, which I think is so cool. My younger sister is my sibling of 6 of us.
Ooh, wow.
Who, when in town, rides with me, and we've shared horses in the past. Lisa, I don't even know. Do you have siblings?
I don't. I am an only child.
I love that for you.
Well, yeah. So I don't have any siblings, but my mom, so my mom is, and so anybody who's listening who knows my mom, don't tell her I'm talking about her because she'll disown me for that. So yes. I'm not talking about her, but she is actually a little bit afraid of horses, and but she loves horses and she loves going to the track. And when I was growing up, if I was sick, I boarded my horses nearby, but she'd go feed in the mornings, and I just am now sort of realizing what that might have cost her, as far as pushing herself out of her comfort zone and all of that. So, but yeah, so she loves horses. And my grandfather, who died before I was born, he bred Morgan horses for Army remount stations back during World War I. So I guess my love of horses goes back a couple of generations.
Oh, I love that. I do have a sister. She's 5 years older than me. However, we couldn't be more different.
Really?
Oh my gosh. And we had horses on property. We ran a boarding stable, and it was not her thing. She loves like board games and anime and video games, and we are just like the most opposite people. I love her now that we're adults. Our teenage years, they were rough.
Isn't that funny though? Because I know so many people like that who it's like, how could you possibly have the same parents?
Right.
Because you're so different.
And my mom is a horse gal. That's where mine came from. And so it's funny. I've always said it. Either you have the horse bug or you don't. There's nobody in the middle who's just like, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. No. It's one or the other.
Yeah. It's extreme. So let's see. Auditor Rachel asked, what is your favorite horse name? The one you made up when you were 12, figuring you'd use it someday as a registered or show name. Did you use it? Are you embarrassed by it? Or is it still awesome? That's a great question, Rachel.
That is a great question. And, so when I was growing up, I've talked a little bit about, in the past, about this little Appaloosa mare I had named Snoqualmie. And when I got her, I was 12 and her name was Snowflake. And I thought that was the stupidest name ever. So, and I wanted something that was similar so that she would respond to it. And I read that the Nez Perce Indians, bred Appaloosa horses in the Pacific Northwest. And so I got a map and I'm looking, and I came across Snoqualmie Pass and Snoqualmie Falls. And so I named her Snoqualmie, but there was already a horse registered in the Appaloosa Horse Club by that. So I couldn't use it. And she was not registered, but I got her registered. And so I came up, I was thinking just what she said, what's the most beautiful name I could for this horse, and I'm 12, and I'm thinking this is just, it has to be the perfect. So I came up with Snowy Moon.
Oh,
Snowy Moon. And so that was her registered name, and it still had the snow in it, and I still think it's a cool name.
I do too. It brings like the peaceful vibe of a moonlit snow ride,
Yes, which we did many times.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old horse show name, my mom's going to kill me. She's a biologist. And I had a dream. And in this dream, I had this gorgeous flea-bitten gray show jumper. And we were just taking the world. And in this dream, I still remember it. This is how crazy us horse girls are. The horse's name was Parallel Beryllium. And I know. And so I came down and I told my mom, and she always hates that I tell her about my dreams anyway. And so I said, Mom, I got the coolest horse show name ever. It's Parallel Beryllium. She's like, Beryllium can't even be parallel, Ashley. And I'm like, wow, Mom, thanks for pooping on my dream horse name. So I still have it in my back pocket, all that to say.
You haven't named a horse that yet.
I have not. I don't know.
Oh, you have to. You have to. It's a cool name.
It sounds cool, right?
It's a great name. Yes. And it came to you in a dream, which means you have to use it.
I know. Well, someday. I might just be competing in intro dressage at 78, but I'll be there on Parallel Beryllium.
I love that. And so the announcer's going to hate you. You know this.
It's going to be fantastic. All right. I just have a couple more questions. I know we're running out of time here.
It's okay.
Auditor Taylor asked the most random but useful skill you think a horse should know, like being able to put itself at the mounting block with a cue. That's a great question, Taylor.
Yeah, and that actually is a great skill to have. But the one that I like the best is, so I came up with this when I was a teenager. And so I didn't know what I was doing, so you just kind of, try to figure things
Oh,
out.
yeah.
But if I'm in the round pen, and I started giving riding lessons when I was 14, and so I've always trained my horses. So if I am in the center of the arena, if I'm in the center of the round pen, if I hold out my hand, kind of like a traffic cop, is stopping traffic with my palm up, that my horses stop. And
Yes.
so as a riding instructor, that has come in handy so many times.
Yes.
It's like the rider's like coming off
Yep.
or something's going on or the horse spooks. I just stand there, and try to make myself really big. I hold my hand out and I say, whoa. And invariably 9 times out of 10, my horses stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also going to say like a verbal whoa. I've put that on every horse I've worked with for the same reason. It's just what great to have in an emergency. But I think what I would say is self-loading on a trailer.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. That's important.
A really good one. We had a lot of luck in the way we trained our horses how to load, and we'd be those folks helping people at the end of shows with their ornery horses. And I loved my quarter horse when it was time we had a 2-horse slant, which isn't very common, but an amazing trailer. And I would just tug on his tail when it's time to get off, and he'd back out, he'd go. And I'd throw the lead rope over his neck when it's time to go in he'd go. Because I've been on a trail situation where someone's been terribly hurt, and you have to load up quick and drive the trailer to the ER. And, it's times like that. So not to be doom and gloom, Taylor, but some emergency cues, I think, are good to have in your pocket because you just never know.
Yes. Well, and the other thing that you touched on is having the horse get out of the trailer, because I've had a few of those.
It goes the other way too.
They're pretty happy in there,
I got my hay bag. I'm good. Oh my gosh. All right. Last question from our dear Jen Hebert. Most embarrassing horse show moment.
Oh dear. So many to choose from.
I know.
Okay. So I was at, and actually I think there's probably a couple of listeners who might even remember this. This is going way back, a long, long time ago. I was at the National Appaloosa Horse Show, and I was competing in pleasure driving, and I had a 4-wheeled buggy. And at this time in my life, I was in my early 20s, so I didn't have a lot of smarts at that time.
Nobody does in their 20s.
I'm just sorry, people, if you're in your 20s, it'll get better. So I'm driving, and we're doing really well. And I noticed that one of the shafts on the buggy had gotten unhooked from the main thing, and I'm going, oh, holy cow. So we're trotting along, and like I reach forward to try to rebuckle the thing while there's like 10 horses with 4-wheel buggies in the arena. What am I
If I do this really fast, maybe no one will notice.
Yeah. And so, of course, the announcer saw what I was doing, stopped the class, made a big deal about it. Of course, I didn't place because part of it is, is your equipment safe? And honestly,
minor detail.
I know. And we were toward the end of the class. If I had just left it, we would have been fine. And, you line up in the center of the arena, and you have your handler come in, your header come in and stand by the horse. Well, he could have easily just snapped it back in, and it would have been fine. So it was my young, dumb self, and it was super embarrassing.
Ugh. But you learn and you grow from it. That's all you can
do. You do. I've never done that. I've always double
check everything, right?
Yep.
It's hard when you're in the middle of it, but everything truly is a learning opportunity. I think my most embarrassing horse show moment, I was also young and dumb. I was a teenager. I was at a schooling show in Brooksville, Florida. I was doing jumpers at the time with a off-the-track thoroughbred, of course, because I was a teenager and had nothing to lose. I think we were maybe doing like a 3-foot course, and he was very hot, very spooky, but I loved them, and we learned a lot. And he had refused a fence. I went over his head, landed on my feet on the other side of the fence, rein in hand.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The way that horse looked at me, I've never, if horses could talk, Bailey would have talked and said, uh-oh.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
That's not how this is supposed to work. And I was so embarrassed and all this, that. Now it's hysterical and like one of my favorite stories. I mean, to land on your feet anytime you fall is a win, but to jump the fence yourself and keep the reins in hand.
Yes.
I think that shows
that's pretty good.
Some horsemanship there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I wish you'd had a picture of the look on his face.
I know it. Oh man. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for joining me today. It's always a pleasure. Friday, we'll be back with a best of, and Monday, Jamie and Glenn will be back in your ears, speakers, wherever you listen to us. Till then, keep your heels down, wear your helmet, and have a great ride.